Welcome to our lesson on identifying equivalent fractions. What are equivalent fractions? Equivalent fractions are fractions that are different numbers, but they are equal to each other. They represent the same amount. Let's look at our two fractions here. We have 1/2 and 4/8. So to show 1/2, I'm going to shade in one of my two parts on this circle. And then to show 4/8, I'm going to shade in 4 of the 8 parts in this circle. And think about it like if these were pizzas. If one person ate 1/2 and one person ate 4/8, they would be eating the same amount. So these two fractions are equivalent. All right, how to tell if two fractions are equivalent? One way is to cross multiply. You multiply the numerator of the first fraction by the denominator of the second fraction. Then you multiply the denominator of the first fraction by the numerator of the second fraction. If the products are equal, then the fractions are equivalent. So let's look here. We had 3/5 and 4/9. So to cross multiply, we're going to do 3 times 9, which equals 27. And we're going to do 4 times 5, which equals 20. These two products are not equal, so these two fractions are not equivalent. All right, another way to tell if two fractions are equivalent is to use benchmark fractions. So let's look at 3/5 and 4/9 again. I know I'm going to compare these two fractions to 1/2. Okay, so I know half of 5 is 2.5. So 3 is over halfway to 5. Okay? Half of 9 is 4.5. So 4 is less than halfway to 9. So because 3/5 is over halfway and 4/9 is less than half, these two fractions are not equivalent. All right, let's practice. So we want to know if 7/8 and 9/10 are equivalent. It's hard to use a benchmark fraction for these two because they are both very close to one whole, so we'll need to cross multiply. So 7 times 10 equals 70. 8 times 9 equals 72. These two products are not equal, so these two fractions are not equivalent. Okay, let's look at the next one. We have 5/12 and 6/10, and we want to know if they're equivalent. Well, once again, I can use my, I can compare both of these fractions to the benchmark of 1/2. Let's see. I know that half of 12 is 6, so 5/12 is less than a half. And then half of 10 is 5, so 6/10 is more than a half. So I know these two are not equivalent, but I can also check it with cross multiplication. 5 times 10 is 50. 6 times 12 is 72. So these two are not equivalent. This concludes our lesson on identifying equivalent fractions.